Halo.
Check. Right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, esteemed participants and distinguished speakers. Welcome to today's seminar on the role of tax accounting in the digital era. In this rapidly evolving technological landscape, the impact of digitalizations of tax accounting practices and the urgency of this cannot be overlooked. Today, we have gathered some of the brightest minds in the fields who will enlighten us on this crucial topic. My name is Rayhan Wijaya, you can call me Ray, who will lead today's seminar or talk show as your host or moderator. I am honored to guide this discussion and encourage a fruitful exchange of ideas. So let us explore the challenges and opportunities that the digital era presents for tax accounting. I thank all the invitees who have taken their time to attend the opening of today's seminar, starting with Mrs. IGA Desi Arlita, SAMSE, and our next invitee is Mrs. Puturatna Juwita Sari, SAMPAR. Now, to continue to our next agenda, for all the participants and invitees are welcome to stand up. And now, we are going to continue to our prayer session, which I will lead in Bahasa. Untuk seluruh peserta dan para undangan, dipersilakan untuk berdoa sesuai dengan kepercayaan masing-masing. Berdoa mulai. Berdoa dapat diakhiri. Now, I'm going to continue in English. To our next agenda, it is welcome for all the participants and invitees to stay standing up, because we will continue our next agenda by singing our national anthem of Indonesia Raya. For the operator. And now, you are welcome to sit back down. Thank you very much. To continue with our agenda today, it will be continued by our chairman of the committee, to Nikadek Cipta Wahyuningsi. Time and place is yours.
Om Swastiastu, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, nama budaya, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua. The Honorable Head of Accounting Department of UNDIKNAS, Mrs. Igusti Ayudesi Arlita, SAMSI. Head of Tourism Destination Department of UNDIKNAS, Mrs. Putu Ratna Sarijuwita, SAMPAR. The Honorable our Speaker, Mr. Dr. Omar Khalid Bati, PAD, and the Miss Meliana Isya Suprapta, the respectable Head of the Student Council of Economic and Business UNDIKNAS, Department of Economic and UNDIKNAS Executive Body, the Chairman of the Student Assembly UNDIKNAS Accounting Student Program, the Chairman of the UNDIKNAS Management Study Program, and the one day with economy participant I love and I was proud of. Thank God for bestowing His mercy upon us so that we can be gathered at the International One Day with Economy event what the time the role of tech accounting in the digital era. I'm Cipta, the chairman of the committee of One Day with Economy this year. As chairman of the committee, I would like to welcome you and thank you all for coming to the show. I also want to thank the campus and the colleges and sponsors who helped in the program. The event One Day with Economy is an activity for students, specifically the Faculty of Economy and Business of UNDIKNAS. Given the magnitude of the impact the digital industry may have the economy, it's hoped that this One Day with Economy called promote entrepreneurial mentality and promote innovative and creative entrepreneurship activities, especially in the digital age. And the event of this One Day with Economy wish to give students general knowledge of tech in the digital age and to facilitate students in the digital age to implement. Therefore, with the project One Day with Economy, in the hope this is a step toward developing faculties of economic and business of UNDIKNAS, all those involved in the activity get involved in the task business and economic to implement the potential of entrepreneurship in the digital era and creating students with integrity. To the participants, let us follow the program well so that can go smoothly and we can benefit from today's program. In conclusion, if there is a flaw in the proceeding, I apologize once again. Welcome and enjoy in the event. Thank you. Om Santi 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 Om. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, nama budaya, salam sejahtera bagi kita semua.
And next, to our next agenda, it will be continued by officially opening today's event by Ms. Igusti Ayu Desi Arlita, SAMSE, as the head of the accounting major, which will be opened by knocking the microphone 3 times. Ms. Desi, time and place is yours.
Om Swastiastu, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, nama budaya. May God bless be upon us all. The Honorable Head of the Tourism Laboratory, Ibu Putu Ratna Juwita Sari, SAMPAR, the student organization body in UNDIKNAS University, our distinguished speaker, Dr. Omar Khalid Bati, PhD, our student, Meliana Isya Suprapta and Raihan Wijaya, as speaker and moderator today, which is I'm so proud of both of you. And all participants today in this event. Greetings for all of you, and this is such a pleasure to me to welcome you in this event today. So today but first of all, let us to send our gratitude to Almighty God. Because of His blessing, we can gather here in the good condition, in this good opportunity for sharing about the digitalization, about the digital era. If we take a look about the digital come from the Greek language, digitus. Digitus is finger. So if you count your fingers, we have 10 fingers in our hand. 10 consists of number 1 and 0. And that's number 1 and 0 is the number that we use as the binary code. The computer using language, using binary numbers, we call them as a bit. So that's mean the digital is about 1, 0, the computerization, the technology, how we use the technology. But you know that everything's come in this world will have two sides of coin. They will become good thing, they will become the opportunity, or they may become a threat for us. It's based on how we use them. So in today's event, I hope that you can take the insight from our distinguished speaker today, so that you know how utilize those digitalization era in the positive way. So that's become the opportunity to you. Maybe in the future you will become the entrepreneur. So you have to utilize the technology in positive way. So that's the technology become opportunity to you. Or let's say that you want to be the professional accountant. You want to be a public accountant, for example. You have to utilize those technology. So that become your opportunity, while we have to minimize the threats that will comes along with those opportunity. So I hope that everyone right now, the participants, can have the great insight, so that's become your, let's say that, that's the something that you can use in your future. Okay, without any further ado, I also want to thank all of the committee today that already sincerely commit to make this event success. And thank you for our speaker, Dr. Omar, because you want to take your time to sharing with us today. And hopefully our discussion today will become fruitful your future. So I will open our event today, our seminar today, with knocking the mic for the 3 times. And we open our discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tessie, for opening today's event. And now, to continue to our next agenda, before we start our seminar today, we are, for all the participants, you are welcome to first list your attendees for 5 minutes. Thank you very much. Now, I have assumed that all the participants and the virtual participants. I'm sorry, let me repeat that. Now, I assume that all the participants and the virtual participants have listed their attendance. Now, we thank you very much for all the invitees and Miss Desi for opening the events today. And now, for all the invitees, you are welcome to leave the forum. We thank you very much. Okay then, to kickstart our seminar today, we have invited a panel of distinguished experts who have extensive experience and knowledge in tax accounting. Our esteemed speakers are well versed in the subject matter and will provide valuable insights into the role of accounting in the digital era. So to welcome our speakers today, who will be speaking today, I will start by reading their CVs, starting with Dr. Omar Khalid Bati, PhD. So Mr. Dr. Omar is an associate professor in the Faculty of Business and Management in Istanbul Medipol University in Turkey. For his academic qualifications, Mr. Omar has achieved the Bachelor's of Computer Science in Bahria University, Islamabad, Pakistan in 2002. And he continued his education to achieve Master of Business Administration in the University of Bahria, Islamabad in Pakistan in 2003, in which he continued lastly with his achievement of PhD in Business Administration in the International Islamic University of Malaysia back in 2015. So for Mr. Omar, are you there?
Yes, very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now I'm going to continue to our second speaker today, who is the student of UNDIKNAS University, who is Miss Meliana Isha Suprata. She was a member of Third Commission of BPM-FEB and also was the secretary of BPM-FEB, of which she has now become the Vice President of Department of Communication and Information of DPM. So for Miss Isha, hello there. Okay then. Before we start, there will be some adjustments. Just let me sit for a second. Right, to welcome our speakers today, Mr. Dr. Omar, are you there?
Yes, I'm very much here. I can hear you loud and clear.
Right, thank you very much. And we welcome Miss Isha to come sit with us today. Good morning, Miss Isha.
Well, hello, good morning, guys. It's my pleasure to be here.
Okay, then. So now all of our speakers have been here. Let's start our seminar today. So in today's talk show or seminar, we will be talking about the role of tax accounting in the digital era. I think it's a really interesting theme, isn't it, right? So to start our discussion today, may I get an opinion from Mr. Dr. Omar first on maybe explaining what is tax accounting or tax itself?
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, first of all. It's a pleasure. I've just been to Malaysia once, Jakarta. Would love to come and see Bali, hopefully in future. So being in Malaysia and being very close to some of my Indonesian friends who did PhD with me back in 2015, Malaysia, Indonesia, these two places and the people of these two countries, they're more like family. So again, I'm really very thankful that you guys took all the time to provide me the opportunity and forum to be with you here. And again, I'm very excited based on the themes that you guys have selected, especially because the overall holistic theme was that we're working towards for a better young economic generation for the digital era. And within that holistic theme, you have narrowed it down to the role of accounting in the digital era, which makes a lot of sense. Being an MBA in finance and working as a senior financial analyst for one of the major multinationals, I think it is about time that the students and on the other hand, the young entrepreneurs of future, they should really have a very clear understanding of tax accounting. Though I'm no expert, let me be very clear on that because, but as a student of accounting and finance, if you want me to explain tax accounting, I would rather make it very simple for all of you to have this understanding that tax accounting refers to the specialized branch of accounting that primarily focuses on preparation, analysis, and presentation of financial information that is related to taxes. So, in general, it involves complying with the tax laws and regulations, which are more referring to determining taxable income, calculating tax liabilities, and of course, fulfilling the reporting requirements that are there. So tax accountants, in general, they play a very critical role in assisting us, individuals, I would rather say, or the businesses, in optimizing their tax positions while ensuring compliances with the applicable tax laws of the country as well as the international laws that are there. So I think that would be more or less the overall, simplest explanation that I can present to you when it comes to tax accounting.
Right, that is so cool, Mr. Omar. Thank you so much for your explanation, which is a very concise explanation of what tax accounting is. And now, if I may, Miss Isha, can I have your opinion on what tax accounting is?
Okay, thank you for Ray. So, in my opinion itself, tax itself is a substantion that played an important role, especially for our state. Like from what I've known, tax played a big role in the state revenue. It takes and it cover up around 80% of our state revenue, which is a very big number. And tax accounting itself, for me, from my knowing, tax accounting is how we serve the information of tax, how we design the strategy to do the taxation, and also the calculation of tax itself. So in tax accounting, we have to do a lot of consideration to determine how much we will pay the tax, how we do the tax, and the best way to calculate the tax. I think that's all I can say about tax accounting.
That is so cool. I think I very much agree with that because tax accounting really is the idea, the act of serving information, and of course, the act of calculating the tax itself. And of course, tax is basically the revenue of a state, and of which let's continue to our next discussions about the design of tax strategy in the digital era. So to start with Mr. Dr. Omar, what is your opinion on the design of a tax strategy in the digital era?
That's a very good question to begin with. And I think it's important for us to understand the digital era in a manner that we can also look into the impact of what it is having on various industries. And then hopefully I think we'll go in a sequence that we can also start discussing about the other industries that are related to it. I think very rightly pointed out at the very beginning by the esteemed speaker here that, of course, when we are looking at taxes, taxes are a form of revenue generation that comes for the state, and of course, that eventually is used by the state in terms of improving public service delivery, providing other facilities, etc. Now, coming back to the discussion that what exactly is the digital era? I mean, I'm not going to be very theoretical or bookish on this. I'm just trying to make very simple explanations that everyone can be together on this. That the digital era, as we all know, is also known as the information age or the fourth industrial revolution that we generally refer to. And based on this argument, we refer to the period characterized by the widespread adoption and integration of digital technologies in various aspects of society, which includes the business operations as well. Since I work as a consultant for various organizations, public and private, I mean, I'm very clear on the fact that in today's global business environment, you really have to focus on the digitalization. So the digital era, in general, what we see is, and especially now with some more AI tools that are coming in, and we'll talk about that for sure in the later part of the discussion. So the digital era has actually revolutionized industries across the board, and they have transformed in a way that organizations, they are operating now differently, they communicate differently, and they deliver products and services which are very different as how they were almost 50 years back. Now, in the context of tax accounting, the digital era has had a profound impact. I mean, when we were going through the basics back in 2000, I mean, there were not too much of softwares available, but just as an intern, I still remember looking into those manual ledgers, and life was pretty difficult. So the point is that advancements in technology, they have led to the digitalization and automation of various tax-related processes, and significantly altering the landscape of tax accounting and administration. So the digital era, if if we have a very simple explanation to present, I would assert that the digital era has brought about changes in the areas such as record keeping, and I think my other guests today would agree with that, with the data analysis, with the overall reporting, with the compliance and the communication with tax authorities. So in general, I mean, if I have to present my thesis today, I would be focusing on the digital era in such a way that the digital era has revolutionized tax accounting and has brought significant changes to the way businesses handle taxations. Especially in the last 10 to 15 years, we can see as how it has impacted. So the transition to the digital era has had a transformative effect on tax accounting practices. And those, of course, we're going to be discussing step by step, one by one in today's discussion. So again, to sum up, I would again make it very simple by saying that, yes, the digital era has revolutionized industries across the board, and they have transformed the organizations, the way they operate, they communicate, and they deliver products and services to the end users. So thank you. That's basically my part on that.
Okay, that's a very interesting answer, Mr. Omar. I really like the way you break down the theme itself, starting with what tax is, and then of course breaking down what digital era is. And yeah, I have to say it's such a crazy revolutions that we are in now with the advancement of technology and just technology making everything, helping us do everything so easy now, especially with tax. And then I think we need to know what the opinion of Miss Isha is.
Okay, so what I've heard from Dr. Omar, I really agree that you said AI have a big impact and technology has transformed rapidly in nowadays. But in my opinion, technology and even AI will not ever take over the human role in every decision making. Because for me, the technology cannot do something or do their job without the instruction from humans. So the base is human need to think about the decision, the design, and also the strategy to imply it, and will be held by the technology itself. So in designing the strategy of tax accounting, I think we have to consider some substantion. Like from my knowing, there are four quadrants that we have to consider in designing a tax strategy in this digital era. That is including the tax technology itself, and then tax big data, and also we have digital tax effectiveness, and also tax digital tax administration service. Mr. Omar, please correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm also still a student, and that's from my knowing. I think in designing the strategy to face the digital taxation era, a human is still need to improve their thinking, their knowledge about taxation and other substantion in accounting, because we cannot just put it on technology or AI, because AI is made by human, isn't it? And we also need our brain, our thinking to operate them, and we cannot be defeated by them. I think that's my opinion.
Right. Yeah, that is so true again. Um, yeah, we can't really see it from one side. We also have to see it in both perspective, as in like, even though people says that digital era might be a risk that AI could take over, but Miss Isha really break down that there's a possibility that they won't actually take over, and then it's because human operates them, and without human they won't exist. Yeah, and then so with those explanations from both the speakers, I think it's a really good idea to go into the next question, with which actually relates to both of your explanations, which are what are the challenges faced in competing for economic roles in the digital era, and how to deal with them, especially with the effects that it has.
See, I let me let me try to readdress one of the concerns here, so at least we can have more clarity. The idea behind using technology is to ease the way we do things. Of course, with the help of the modern technologies that are coming into the picture, they will surely be assisting us in terms of improving time efficiency, being more effective, and being more efficient. So my argument at the previous question was more related to that. Now, if we, and I do agree with the esteemed speaker that yes, I mean, there are certain areas where, of course, machine eventually needs to learn from humans. It's the humans who are designing it. They're the ones who are writing the algorithms. There's no doubt that the algorithms and the way we are designing them is going to be much more efficient and effective, that it can do a lot of calculations, a lot of other jobs or tasks that would eventually assist. I'm using the term assist and support us in terms of getting things done. Now, there are challenges for sure, but there are certain other things that we also, and I would like to take the opportunity of this one to basically address, because you have to keep few things in the picture, that there are certain things that we have to understand that relates to the automation and efficiency. It relates to data management and analysis. It relates to real-time reporting and compliances. And on the other hand, it also refers to the international tax implications. Now, I'm going to come to the challenges for sure, but my humble submission would be that I would like to clarify some of these things so the audience, and especially the future entrepreneurs and business leaders from this particular forum, who are going to be based in some very good positions in the future, I mean, they can have a minute to think about and then have much more of a, of a whole holistic overview as where we are heading in this thing. See, the digital tools and softwares, they have automated routine tax accounting tasks. That's basically where I was trying to argue and take my discussion to. Such as we talk about data entry, we talk about calculations, we talk about record keeping. And this automation improves what? It improves efficiency. It reduces your manual errors, which generally do occur. And it frees up time for the tax accountants to focus on more strategic and value-added activities. I would really suggest most of the audience that if you do get the time, you must read one of the papers that was written by Biswas and Hicks in 2019, in which they were focusing on the impact of technology on tax practices. Similarly, with regards to data management analysis, and these are challenges, by the way. Let me put that very clear. These are the challenges as well. Data management and analysis. So the digitalization, as I said, it does allow tax accountants to manage and analyze vast amounts of financial data, right? From what they have in a more efficient and effective manner. And advanced data analytics tools, it basically enables in-depth analysis of financial transactions. Now, this is the important part here. So, identification of tax planning opportunities and enhanced risk assessment, all right, of tax compliance. This is also one of the areas that we have to consider, and it is a challenge because we're continuously working in terms of improving this. Then we have the real-time reporting and compliance. We use digital technologies in terms of facilitating the real-time reporting and compliance by doing what? By simply enabling seamless, integration between the financial system and the tax software that whatever we may be using. Now, this connectivity, this allows for accurate and timely reporting of tax information to tax authorities, your local or your international tax authorities. And this does what? It reduces the risk of penalties and non-compliance, because again, a big challenge is to ensure that there are no risk penalties and there are no non-compliance, because that becomes a serious issue for businesses, for organizations, and even for individuals. And I would again say that if you look at the Deloitte 2021 report, which is on tax and digitalization, the future of tax compliance, you will actually have an understanding as what are the real-time challenges for tax accountants or for financial experts when it comes to handling this. Then we have the international tax implications. I think we should not forget the fact that, what is very impressive is that Indonesia, the economy of Indonesia is the largest in Southeast Asia, and it is one of the most, it is not one of the most, it is one of the emerging market economies. And as a middle income country and a member of the G20, Indonesia is classified as a newly industrialized country. So just think for a second that it's the 16th largest economy in the world by the nominal GDP and the 7th largest in terms of GDP. So where exactly do you see yourself? If you look at the AD Aviation Development Bank report of 2023 and 2024, you will actually have an idea of the Indonesia's economic growth. And as being a part and as being a consultant for not only public and private sector and working with these donor agencies like ADB and World Bank, I see massive potential, especially in Indonesia. So coming back to the point, if you see this, you also have to understand that international companies are coming and they're settling and they're bringing FDI in Indonesia. So your international tax implications also become a challenge. And the digital era, let me put it in this way, that the digital era that we're discussing today has presented new challenges for tax accountants concerning cross-border transactions. Now, this is something which is very important. Cross-border transactions and digital business models. So these are two things that we have to consider. I mean, the digital era, and I'll repeat again, the digital era is presenting new challenges for the tax accountants concerning cross-border transactions and digital business models. So taxation of digital goods and services, the transfer pricing and the allocation of tax jurisdictions, they have become a very complex issue. And that what requires specialized knowledge as well as international cooperation. So again, I would suggest to all the esteemed listeners who are here, I mean, I know some of them are also students of the same area, that you should really look into the tax challenges which are arising from digitalization. And there is an interim report of 2019, which is inclusive framework of BEPs. You can refer it. It was by OECD. You will have much more better understanding as what I'm referring to at the moment when it comes to the overall implications of the digital era on tax accounting. So again, as I said, the technology that we are embedding is assisting us, it is supporting us, it is helping us. Of course, it is not going to take your jobs away, that's there, but it would improve efficiency, it would improve overall timelines, it would improve even your work-life balance. I mean, I have been in a position where I had to look at millions of USDs as a senior financial analyst, and I can clearly understand the anxiety that you go through, especially in a corporate world, focusing on these things. So that would be my explanation and answer. I'm sorry I took a little extra time, with due apology, but that's my take on the challenges. Thank you.
Wow, that's a really, really amazing answer, sir. And no, I don't think you're taking extra time. Instead, you actually gave us so much insights to what the challenges that we are facing with the evolutions of digital era, such as cross-border transactions, like you said, and digital business models, and how digital transformations can reduce the risk of tax accounting, and then it basically enhance the risk compliances. And you also provides us with so many case studies, which actually I wanted to ask, but you actually already answered it, so thank you very much. And for Miss Isha, is there an opinion for you?
Okay, so I really want to thank Mr. Ormo also for the opinion, because it's really opened up my mind about like what you said, the cross-border transaction, digital business models. It really opened up my mind as a student, especially accounting students. And for the question from Ray before, like the challenges that we will face in the digital era of taxation, isn't it? As a student, I say it in the simplest way that I can because I'm still learning also. So, from my point of view, the biggest challenge in facing the digital era is to keeping up with the evolving technology, of course. Like technology growing so fast, like it's even faster than our blinking. So, to keep up with the technology, it needs more concern for the accounting, so they will not get left behind. And also in the data management and integration, it can be a challenge for us to keeping it up. And also, like every technologies that appeared, there always a risk about the cybersecurity, of course. Like it's digitalization, it's all about the security. So I think the biggest challenge to keep it up is in the cybersecurity side, to keep up the cyber stay safe and all the data is stay safe. I think that's from my opinion. And once again, thank you, Mr. Olmar, for your opinion. I think
Thank you. If I may be allowed to add few more details, just for just for a healthy and a much more interactive session, because I see there's a heavy audience that's present today online as well, and some of them are sitting right in front. Uh, I'll just take a few seconds, if the moderator can allow me,
Yes, for sure. With pleasure.
to add few more points, especially when it comes to the evolution of tax accounting in the digital era. Uh, we should not forget the fact that the traditional tax accounting methods, if we look at it, they were typically involved with reference to manual processes, paper-based record keeping, and reliance on physical documents. So the tax accountants, they would basically manually calculate tax liabilities, and they would prepare tax returns by hand, and then they used to store the records in physical filing system. And I've seen that. I have been a part of it, because during that, I come from that time frame where when we were there as interns, we saw that happening. We did it by our hands. So that's there. So communication with the tax authorities, even then, I'm talking about Pakistan in context of Pakistan. Of course, it would have not been the same for the other countries. But I'm just trying to, recall some of the experiences of the new generation, which is much more tacky, can actually see exactly from where we have started and where we are going. So, as I said, the tax authorities, communication with the tax authorities was often done through mails, or mails means like the physical mail, not the email, to be honest, or in-person visits. And while all these methods that we had, they served the purpose. It's not like they were not serving the purpose, but they were time-consuming. They were prone to errors, and they had limited in terms of data analysis and real-time reporting capabilities. So with the emerging of digital technologies and their influence on tax accounting, what we have seen is that there are several technologies that have had a significant impact on tax accounting. Take the example of electronic spreadsheets. The advent of electronic spreadsheets, if I may say, such as, just take the basic example of Microsoft Excel, that really enabled tax accountants to perform very complex calculations. Okay, I might be over exaggerating with this thing, with this click, but it did help. The entire automate repetitive tasks was something that was there. Then the overall organization of financial data, which became more efficient, was also a result of the spreadsheets. So spreadsheets again provided a foundational tool for digitalizing, the tax accounting processes. Then we became a little bit more, advanced, and we had tax softwares. Dedicated tax software, such as the TurboTax, it's pretty famous, and the Tax Act. My colleague on the other hand would actually add more to it, because, as I said, I'm still in the process of understanding and learning myself. So there are others, yes, but they emerged to streamline tax preparations and filing, and these softwares, the applications, they incorporated tax rules and calculations, and they guided users through the process. And because of all of this, it generated accurate tax forms. And what happened by all of this is that the manual errors, they became less. The simplified tax compliance, and it all simplified the tax compliance, and moreover, it also increased efficiency, which I have been, highlighting very much in the entire discussion. And now what we see is that we have cloud computing. The adoption of cloud computing, it has completely transformed the tax accounting, and it is providing very secure. Of course, that is debatable. We can have a debate on that. But on the other hand, it is also providing scalable and remote access to software and data. So cloud-based solutions, what they have done is that they have allowed real-time collaboration, and they have improved automatic updates and centralized data storage, and they're also enabling seamless integration and accessibility for multiple devices. So the benefits of digitalization in tax accounting, they are immense. And I'll go back to my starting point that they have really increased efficiency and accuracy. Why? Because digitalization, as I've said earlier, it improves the speed and it also improves the accuracy of tax accounting processes. So the automation, it eliminates manual data entry and it reduces human errors, because see, we can be very careful, but as human beings, we can make errors. All right. And we have accelerated calculations, which was taking extra time and effort. So the tax software and the electronic spreadsheets provided built-in formulas, ensuring accuracy in tax calculations and minimizing mistakes. So what we see now is that we have more streamlined data management, which is good for analysis. So these digital technologies, it has facilitated into efficient data management in tax accounting, and these electronic records and cloud-based systems for the centralized storage and quick retrieval and seamless, you can say, data integration. Tax accountants now can analyze vast amounts of financial data more efficiently, more effectively. They can identify patterns and they can generate insights to support tax planning and decision making. Same is the case with regards to the real-time reporting and compliance. I mean, if you look at the digitalization, it has enabled us towards real-time reporting and compliance with tax obligations. And if we look at the tax softwares and cloud computing platforms, as I said earlier, and I'll repeat again, that it facilitates the direct integration with the financial system. It enables automatic data transfer and real-time updates. And what happens is that with all of this allows businesses and even individual or entrepreneurs to meet reporting requirements. And what do we get out of this? We basically reduce the risk of non-compliance and we improve the transparency with tax authorities, which is a major, major obligation. So, as I said, I'm sorry I'm taking a little extra time, and I might, the audience may feel that I'm not giving due time to my other esteemed guests. So please, I apologize in advance, but I just wanted to clarify some of the other basics that could help us be, on the same page in terms of moving further with this discussion. So please, my apologies.
Right. No, sir. Again, let me clear it for you as well. It's not a problem for you to take extra time because it's a really nice explanations that how it basically creates efficiencies for us in a way, like the example, electronical spreadsheets, where it provides accurate and real-time accounting numbers. And then the advantages that it has, that it basically will provide no human errors, and of course it also solve the downtime that it takes to create a manual tax report. And then of course it brings a good analysis and generate insight for decision making. Actually, that is a really interesting answers, because it also you provides us with a strategy to change from manual task to a more strategic and advisory roles for digital accounting. Now, actually, let's go into the next questions for both of the speakers to discuss. It's actually about, even though digital era is so good and it brings a lot of advantages for us tax accountants, we have to consider, of course, the data security and privacy, because both of those are major concerns in the digital era right now, right? So the question will be, what measures should tax accounting professionals take to ensure the confidentiality and integrity of sensitive financial information? So for Mr. Dr. Omar, if you please.
I'll refer to one of the reports which was published, I think, very recently. It was a report that was published by KPMG. The title was "Tax in the Digital Era," which I mean, and you can actually find it online. It's pretty much available, and they specifically focused on the security and privacy issue. Of course, where digitalization has brought a lot of ease and efficiency, there are also some very serious concerns. And those serious concerns are that the digitalization of tax-related data raises concerns about data security and privacy. I mean, there are instances where things have leaked. People confidential data of individuals have been, it somehow got hacked, it became public. So these are some of the major challenges and issues. And taxpayers and tax authorities, what that report highlights is that they must implement robust security measures to protect the sensitivity information and ensure the compliance with data protection regulations. Because Indonesia, for instance, they have their own, like you have certain global rules and standards, and you have certain country-based rules and standards. So, as I said, I'm no expert of Indonesia, but I'm just a student myself trying to understand what's really happening in Indonesia. And because of this very nice seminar that we have arranged, it gave me the opportunity to look into Indonesia and different sectors to see exactly how you guys are basically, moving ahead. And honestly, it's very impressive the way the government is basically creating all these robust regulatory regulations. So bottom line is that we need to have a robust security measures, and we also need to be very clear in terms of protecting sensitive information so that the trust that we are building can be retained, and we can also ensure the compliance with the data protection regulations which Indonesian government and the Indonesian laws states. So that's my take on that. But then again, these things are very complex. Every day, as I said, technology is changing, and we also have things which are coming in. I mean, provided with the opportunity, if you get time, I would really like to, discuss with the esteemed guest and the audience the role of blockchain. I mean, how blockchain can actually be one of the technologies in terms of, because blockchain technology is decentralized and secure, and it secures digital ledger that records and verifies transactions across multiple computers. So in tax accounting, this is my personal view, and I could be wrong on this. I mean, I don't mind being, debated with my thoughts over here, but blockchain can offer potential benefits. Of course, one of the potential benefit is the transparent and immutable records, because with blockchain, it can provide more of a transparent and tamper-proof record of transactions, and that could ensure the integrity and accuracy of the tax-related data. And this can also enhance the trust between the taxpayer, tax authorities, and the other stakeholders. Likewise, if we look at the streamline audit and compliance, blockchain can also simply, blockchain can simply tax audits, or they can simplify tax audits by, by providing real-time access to validate and, timestamp transaction records. So this all enables efficient and accurate auditing, reducing the administrative burden for both taxpayers and tax authorities. But on the other hand, when we look at blockchain technology in terms of, cooping up with the, with the data privacy and things like that, I think that can be utilized. So data security and privacy can also be looked into from that perspective. I mean, I'm no expert. I mean, I do have a computer engineering degree, but frankly, I'm not a developer anymore. So I would say that that's something that I feel that we are working on, and hopefully that can be overcome in the coming future. But as I said, data security and privacy is one of the major challenges that we again need to consider, and we need to work on that. So I hope that answers your question. Again, a little extra detail, which I hope the audience and the others would not mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Omar. It's a really cool answers to the strategy that can help with the breaching of security and privacy is through the media like blockchain. But my question, can I ask you something, Mr. Omar, before we get into Miss Isha? Could you first explain to us what blockchain is, especially for the audience who may be not aware of what blockchain is?
Okay, let me try to make it as simple as possible, because I'll not get into the into the into the technicality of it. But if I put it in a very simple way, blockchain. I mean, generally we just refer blockchain with cryptocurrency. So let's not put that here. All right, let's not bring cryptos, let's not bring Bitcoin at the moment. Let's make it more simple and straightforward, because that's how we correlate. Blockchain is a type of distributed database or ledger. All right, that's the simplest explanation. It's a type of a distributed database or ledger, and it is one of the today's top tech trends that we see. What it means is that we have the power to, I mean, you can say it in a way that all the records, I mean, we have a digital ledger, and that digital ledger keeps the record of all transactions that are taking place in a peer-to-peer network. So all information that is being transferred by blockchain is encrypted, and every accuracy is recorded, meaning that the information cannot be altered. I mean, that would, I believe, would be the most simplest explanation that I can give at this time. I mean, if again not clear, I'll repeat, so at least you can have this clarity. First of all, blockchain is a digital ledger. It keeps all the records of all the transactions that are taking place, but those transactions that are taking place are in a peer-to-peer network. So all information that is transferred via blockchain, again, it is encrypted. All right, it's encrypted, and every occurrence or occurrence of anything, if I'm making any change, you're making any change, it is all recorded. What it means is that the information cannot be altered. I mean, I just cannot go to you and not alter, because it's being saved on different peers as well as the network. So as a decentralized network, blockchain networks do not require any central or certifying authority. And for this reason, we generally believe, that these networks, they can be relied upon for much more than a transfer of currency. In fact, we talk about contracts, yes, records, yes, and even other kinds of data can be shared across blockchain networks. So the encrypted information can be shared across, multiple providers without risking a privacy breach. And over the years, that what we have seen, blockchain, it has become very popular because of what? For the reason because blockchain networks are, I mean, I was reading at one place and they very beautifully stated that blockchain networks are distributed ledgers on the internet. And each action, as I said, is visible to everyone. If I'm making any change, it is visible to you, it is visible to A, B, C, D, etc. So only adding lines is possible, and that too for consensus. So peer to peer, which means that there is no third party. No third party is required in order to carry out transactions. So again, it becomes secure, or it gets secured by unbreakable crypto. I mean, the term is cryptographic or hashing blockchain. I'm not going to get into all those details because that would actually deviate us from the existing topic. But that's basically what blockchain is. I mean, as I said, uh, uh, it's a very interesting field. I mean, I'm still in the process of learning myself. So if we start discussing on it, it would become it would take at least an hour or so just to discuss. So please do not correlate blockchain only with Bitcoin. There's much more to blockchain, as I said in the very beginning.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much for the explanations. Now, um, we will go to Miss Isha. Maybe Miss Isha can provide us with a little bit of explanation of blockchain, maybe in Bahasa, for our participants who might have a little bit of challenge understanding because it's such a heavy context.
Okay, so my understanding about blockchain is generally the same as Mr. Omar, and for our attendees who might have trouble understanding the the definition of blockchain, so I will explain it in bahasa, so maybe it will be easier to you to understand. So blockchain itu pada dasarnya adalah suatu tipe distribusi data atau jurnal yang nantinya itu pada proses distribusi data tersebut akan dienkripsi atau diamankan, kemudian ditautkan ke penerima data. Nah, pada jaringan blockchain ini dia tidak ada otorisasinya atau otorisasi terpusat. Jadi keamanan data itu dia sudah terenkripsi pada proses blockchain itu tersendiri dan keamanannya sudah terjamin di sana seperti itu. Kemudian for answering Ray's question, your latest question about the challenge, isn't it? If I'm not mistaken. So for the additional answer from me, like I've said before, the cybersecurity risk is one of the challenges in digitalization era. And from my knowing, what you can do to keep your data safe is the first thing. I think you can secure them with encryption, like I've said before, and also access control to restrict the access that people have to sensitive data, so you can protect the data more. And you can also do some security assessment, like regular security assessment, and also kind of audits to identify the vulnerability in the system and also the network. So you can find, is there any error that we can prevent? And also, this is the one of the important things that you should do to protect your data is to train your employee or crew and instill their awareness about the sensitive data in your company or in your leisure, so they will not leak it to the external parties. And also they know which one is the sensitive data, which one is not a sensitive data. I think that's from my knowing about what you can do to protect your data from cyber security risk. And also, Mr. Omar, if you have any other opinion, the time is yours, and I will give it back to Ray.
Thank you very much, Miss Isha, for your explanations to brief to cybersecurity and how to solve them by, of course, having access control and security assessment. Security assessment is so important, I think, because in a business you always want to check your security every once in a while, and of course, in the aspect of business itself, you have to train your employee to increase, to develop their human capability, to raise awareness about cybersecurity, and of course, in the digital era we are now. So, Mr. Omar, do you have anything to add before we get into the next question?
No, I think it was very well said by our esteemed colleague, and more or less she has covered all the areas. So I think I would not further discuss on that. But with the discussion that we're having, just one thing came in my mind, and it just clicked because of the blockchain and so forth. You know, if you must, I mean, as students and as future leaders of the field of business, finance, and accounting, we have started seeing a trend where we have started focusing more towards big data. And since we're working on the digital era in the accounting, I just want to highlight one of the, I mean, since I was also making some notes of myself, there are certain benefits which we have already discussed in general. But within those benefits, if we look at the key technologies that are really transforming tax accounting, we focused on cloud computing and so forth, and I tried giving a little bit of an insight on this, as well as my colleagues here as well. I think two things got missed somehow. One is big data analytics, and if you see big data analysis or data analytics or data scientists, these terminologies have started becoming the buzzwords, and especially the young, minds that are right here in front of me present today. You really need to understand the benefits of this and then rethink and reorient yourself as what is going to be your course of action. I mean, of course, I do understand most of you are going to be taking tax and finance as your area of expertise in the future. But having said that, if you look at big data analytics, you have to look at the fact that big data analytics, as we know it, basically refers to the process of extracting valuable insights and patterns that are there from the large volume of structured and unstructured data. So in tax accounting, what we are observing now is that big data analytics has become or has gained a lot of significance. And there are very major implications that we see, especially with reference to big data analytics. For the reason because it has enhanced tax planning and risk management. I mean, we cannot just, neglect this particular, area. And when we look at the big data analytics, it enables the tax accountants to analyze massive amounts of financial and transaction data. And by identifying trends, patterns, and anomalies, tax professionals, they can make more informed decisions. They can optimize the tax planning strategies and proactively they can manage the tax risks. So if you look at that, the big data analytics part, it also helps us in terms of improving the compliance and fraud detection. So that basically goes back to our previous questions discussion. Why? Because by analyzing large data sets, it can help identify potential instances where we can see non-compliance or we can catch fraudulent activities. So if we apply data analytic techniques, I can assure you that tax accountants, they can detect inconsistencies, they can uncover hidden relationships, and they can enhance the accuracy of effectiveness of compliance. Again, I would say, you as young, bright minds, you should refer to the KPMG's report, which was published in 2021, and the title was Harnessing Big Data and Tax Analytics. So My argument here is that you really need to have expertise on big data or data analysis. Or you can say that you need to basically focus a bit more on the analytical side so that you can actually become more of a, let me put it in more simple terminology and simple manner, that you need to make sure that you're more employable. And currently, with the current trends that we see in the market and the global trend, having expertise in big data or data analytics or being a data scientist, that can open multiple avenues for you as tax accountants. So that's one. Similarly, in the very beginning, we talked about, you know, AI, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. Now, artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies, no doubt, they have the potential to revolutionize tax accounting processes. And I did briefly touch, like, if we look at the automation and efficiency, AI or ML, because that's the abbreviation that we use. AI refers to artificial intelligence, ML refers to machine learning. These technologies can automate routine and repetitive tax accounting tasks, such as I repeated that before, that when it comes to data entry, classifications, and reconciliation. And since we're focusing on reducing manual efforts and improving efficiency, again, it would be helping and assisting tax professionals to focus on higher value activities. So the bottom line of me discussing all of this is to give all these, all of you as young minds an idea as how important it is for you at this stage to get hands-on or learn more about big data analysis, data analytics, and so forth. And even artificial intelligence and machine learning, you should have. Because, see, you have to understand that with all of this, you can be in a position where predictive analytics and tax planning can become much more easier for you. Because AI and ML algorithms, they can analyze historical tax data, financial information, along with external factors, and it can generate a predictive insight. And what happens is that this is what is required today, that these insights can actually help tax forecasting, not only for the organizations, but also for the governments. And it can also identify tax saving opportunities and optimizing tax, planning strategies. There's a very nice article that was written in 2022. It basically came as a piece by Ernst and Young. We all know E&Y, so I think I don't have to. And they basically wrote about artificial intelligence in tax. It's a beautiful piece of paper. You must read it, and that way you will have much more of an insight as why I'm trying to, push you guys to think on lines where, you can you can be a little bit more employable for yours. And you can have more, you can secure yourself a good position in the future. So I'm sorry, I wanted to discuss that and it slipped, but because of the series of discussion and the way we are heading, it just came in my mind, so I just wanted to share it with you. So thank you very much for allowing me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar, for your beautiful insights on big data. The information that you have given us was actually also one of my questions, one of the questions that I wanted to ask, but you've given us so detailed elaborations on what a big data will have and the benefits it has. Ms. Isha, do you have anything to add?
For the big data, I actually have a question. So, for the tax planning, of course, the big data played an important role. So, I really want to ask Mr. Omar about the role of big data in planning the taxation strategy. I think I'm a little bit confused about that. Maybe you can explain more.
Mr. Omar?
Sorry. Yes. See, as I said, I'm also in the process of learning myself, and regardless, we are always a student. We're always, learning something new every day. What I personally believe is that the field itself, when we look at big data analytics or data scientists who are becoming, the field is expanding in such a massive way, and things are becoming so advanced. With the passage of every, or with the passing of every single day, the requirements are changing. And as I said, because of globalization, because of uh, you know free eliminating boundaries, although that is still debatable. I mean, you can have the data exchange and information sharing, all of this. So automated data analytics, again, uh, it is becoming more of a necessity, because you may agree with me, the taxation itself is becoming very complicated with the passage of every single. We're putting in more regulations, we're putting in more, we're ensuring more compliances. And when we look at the overall, fraudulent activities, they're also increasing. So with big data analytics and with having hands-on expertise on data analysis, I believe that particular problem that exists can be catered. So that's there. But as I said, since the field itself is developing, there is so much that is happening that I believe that not everything can be covered in a discussion in such a short span of time. So I mean, the only thing that I can foresee is that with the increasing complexities and compliances all over the world, any new graduate or anyone who's planning to become an expert of the field of tax, they need to have the expertise in where they can really analyze data, they can look into the patterns, they can see what it is, and then they can make meaning out of it, which can be helpful not only for the organization but also for the public in general. So that was my initial argument that I wanted to. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Omar. It really helped to answer my question. I think I'll get it back to Ray.
Okay, right. Thank you very much, Mr. Omar, Ms. Isha, for the discussion about the possible risk of big data itself and the benefits. So let's go into the next questions, of which I wanted to ask about the implementation of digital tax reporting systems. So things such as electrical invoicing and real-time reporting, it has gained a momentum in the several countries over the last few years. So could you tell us, the audience, what are the benefits and challenges associated with these systems, and how can accountants effectively adapt to these changes with the digital tax reporting system?
Should I start first, or I'll allow the colleague to start
Sorry.
first? But I've been taking too much of time. Let her start this time.
Okay, sorry. For Miss Isha, you can start first, which will be continued by Mr. Omar.
Okay, sorry. Can you repeat the question one more time, Ray?
Right. So the questions will be with the implementation of digital tax reporting system, such as electrical invoicing and real-time reporting, because it has gained momentum in in several countries over the last few years. Can you tell us what are the benefits and challenges associated with these systems, and how we as the tax accountants could effectively adapt to these changes?
Okay. First of all, the benefits, isn't it? The benefits of digital reporting. So as we can see, digital process will eliminate every manual processes that happened before. It will help us to reduce the errors that may come and appears while the reporting process. And also the digital reporting can help with enhance the efficiency in tax compliance. So for the benefits, I think it really helps a lot with the preventing the errors and also the efficiency, and also the digital reporting can help us to provide a real-time visibility into transactions, enabling quicker identification of potential issues, and also improve the compliance of monitoring. And also the about the data integration and compatibility. Implementing digital tax reporting systems requires integration with existing accounting systems. So tax accountants will need to ensure compatibility and smooth data transfer between a different platform to avoid the disruptions or data inconsistencies. So to prevent any inconsistencies in the data that we have to ensure the integration and also the compatibility of our data, and also with to compliance with changing regulations. The as Mr. Omar have stated before, there's a lot of additional regulations by the time. It always there's more and more. So the digital tax reporting system are often accompanied by new regulations and reporting requirements. So the tax accountant must stay updated on these changes so they can stay aware about what is the new regulation, so they will not make any wrong move, or they can decide the best decision to make on the decision making process. And also they have to ensure the configuration of reporting system and also educate themselves to technical aspects of the digital reporting platform back again, so they will not make any wrong decision in the decision making process. I think that's what I can say about your question, Ray. Or Mr. Omar, correct me please if I'm wrong. I'm still learning.
No, no, not at all. Not at all. You have actually pointed out some of the very critical, areas. And I'll just add to what you have discussed. So, if we look at the overall tax compliance and reporting, and we look at the impact of digitalization on tax compliance and reporting, we see that the digitalized record keeping and documentation, it has really transformed tax compliance and reporting by, as I said, replacing the traditional paper-based record keeping with the digitized systems. Now, what exactly are we getting as the benefits out of this? See, electronic record keeping, I mean, we can say that businesses now and even government, they can actually maintain electronic records of financial transactions, which could include invoices, receipts, and other tax-related documents. So the digitized record keeping improves accessibility. It reduces physical storage requirements, and it also enables efficient retrieval and analysis of data during the tax compliance process. So that's one to look at. Similarly, we also have the audit, trial, and documentation integrity. With the digital systems, it basically, provides an audit trail that can capture and track changes made to financial data. And what it does is that it shows transparency and integrity, and it also helps in showcasing compliance with the tax laws and regulations during the audit reviews. With this said, the electronic filing and reporting, because of the digitalization, it has facilitated the transition from, as I said, from the manual tax filing and reporting processes to electronic methods. And what it has done is, I'll again repeat, because see, some of the things are interconnected and they are interrelated as well. And as I said, because of all of this, it has improved efficient and timely filing. So the electronic filing system, it allows taxpayers to submit their tax returns electronically, and this basically eliminates the need for paper form and manual submissions. So electronic filing ensures accuracy, it reduces processing time, and it enables taxpayers to receive faster refunds if they are applicable. And most importantly, it helps in standardizing the reporting formats. Because what we see with the digital system is that it often requires taxpayers to report information in a much more standardized format. And what it does is that it ensures consistency and compatibility across the different reporting platforms. And this streamlines the reporting processes and facilities, or you could say facilitate data analysis for tax authorities. Similarly, there's one more thing that we need to highlight here: real-time tax monitoring and audits. The digital era and the focus on digitalization has enabled tax authorities to adopt real-time monitoring and auditing approaches, which is improving the compliance enforcement. And the question that you may ask is like, how? How are they doing it? Well, firstly, they are focusing on automated data analysis. Now, there are digital tools that allow tax authorities to analyze, large volumes of data in real time, and that enables them to detect discrepancies, identify potential non-compliances, and target high-risk areas for audits. And what we see as a result is that this enhances the effectiveness of tax enforcement efforts. Same is the case with data exchange and information sharing. Because of these digital systems, we see the exchange of tax-related information between tax auditors and taxpayers. And the result is that it enables faster communication. It reduces errors in our general reporting, all right? And it also improves transparency in tax compliance. So digitalization in tax compliance reporting, again, as we discussed earlier, it's not only bringing challenges, but it's also bringing opportunities. And that was the reason why I wanted to discuss the data security and privacy, the increased complexity within the systems that we have. So the last point that I would like to highlight is that the international tax implications are such that the digital era, it has posed a challenge for international tax framework, and it has created that necessity that we go for certain adoptions. All right. For instance, I think if you guys are aware of it or not, but there is a concept which is called base erosion and profit sharing, BEPS. So the digitalization has basically enabled multinational enterprises to operate globally with significant digital presence. And what we have observed is that this has actually promoted discussions and initiatives to address tax challenges which are related to BEPS, the base, erosion, and profit sharing. And it shows that companies pay their fair share of taxes in the countries where they generate profits. And then we have the digital services taxation. Some jurisdictions they have introduced, or you could say they have proposed digital service taxes so that they can capture revenue from digital businesses that are operating within their borders or boundaries. And again, this has led to a massive debate on the appropriate taxation of digital transaction and services. So again, you have to understand the fact that there are ways and there are things that needs to be looked at, especially when we are focusing on how automation, or what exactly is the impact of digitalization on the tax compliance and reporting. And this is very important for, again, I'll say, for young brilliant minds like you to think on these or on such lines, so that you can pick your area of expertise that you would like to develop in future and be enjoying or moving further. So that's more or less what I wanted to add.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Omar, for your analysis on Ms. Isha's discussion as well about the real-time monitoring, and it can improve compliance, and then the many things that it will bring for us with the automated data analysis, and how it can help us with the risk management. But going into our next questions is that we have to also consider, with the advance of digital era right now in tax accounting as well, and the existence of big data, blockchain, etc., and many things. I think it's also important for us to address tax regulations. So, because there are so many things that are changing right now, as tax regulations, they struggle to keep up with the pace of technological advancement. So what are the implications for tax accounting professionals that can be done, and how can they stay adapted or aware of regulatory changes and ensure the compliance is going well? Ms. Isha, would you like to start?
Okay, sure. So can I state the question first? The question is, so
Yes.
how they can adapt with the regulation that appears constantly, isn't it?
Yes,
So
that's the question.
the first thing that they should do to keep update with the regulation is, for me, learn. Like to keep update with the new regulation, they have to learn continuously, so they know the new information, the new regulations that appeared, and tax accountants also need to know the latest tax laws, of course, and also all the regulations. So again, they will not make any wrong decision. And also the technological advancement that will impact the tax accounting practices, and also engaging in professional development programs, attending seminars, and also leveraging online resources that can help them to stay updated, like taking online courses or attending any talk show seminars, like maybe like what we do now, that will provide a new information for the attendees. And also they can do a collaboration with other professionals, like do a sharing session maybe, and also brainstorming to keep they updated about new information or regulation. Like maybe I know regulation about these things, and Ray maybe know other information that I don't know about it. We can do sharing about it and keep us updated about the regulations, about the new method, maybe the new strategies that we can imply to our client or else. And also to identify the potential solutions that align with the tax compliance requirements as well. And also the collaborations will enable an effective implementation of digital tools and system, because we are updated about any other informations that appears. So we will have more references to do our job as a tax accountant. And then we can engage with regulatory bodies who made the regulation, of course. So if we have a good engagement with them, we can keep our information updated. We can know what is the newest regulation that have been made by the regulatory body. And also the professional networks that provide the tax policy and do the some discussion or maybe some contribution in making the new regulation or update the latest regulation. Maybe you, as a tax accountant, we will find some like some that not fit well or not going well in this time, and we want to like find the better way to do that thing. So we do the discussion with the regulatory bodies to keep the regulation updated and also updating our knowing. I think that's from my preferences, what I know to keep tax accounting adapt with the regulation.
Right, that is really amazing. A really detailed explanations with the points. Yeah, I really agree with that answers that Ms. Isha has provided. That we have to continuously learn about tax laws that has been regulated, or just like the new things that is happening by, of course, attending seminars and leveraging online resources by reading articles or case study. And then, of course, to collaborate with IT professionals and of always engaging with the regulatory bodies. So, Mr. Omar, do you have any opinion that you would like to add?
Well, it's very beautifully stated by my fellow colleague, and I think I'll just endorse her by saying that we are living in very exciting times. They're not only exciting, but they're also challenging. I'm one of those lucky ones, I would rather say, the generation that we are in, that we have seen things getting evolved. I still remember, using that phone, that manual, what do you call, numbers, and then moving on to cordless phones, and from cordless phones to this big mobiles, almost the size of my arm, I guess, and then shrinking and seeing them this much, and now finally, you know, iPhone and Android and whatnot. And I think same applies for the generation which was before us. I mean, which includes my father, my mother. So, as very rightly pointed out, we have to basically be more forward looking in terms of accepting change and being ready to inculcate changes that are happening around us. Because with such fast pace that we see in terms of the technological advancements that are happening on day-to-day basis, especially if you just see with Chat GPT coming into the picture in by the end of Jan, and look at now, and with the AI, we really need to be upgrading ourselves on a very regular basis, and this applies for even the regulatory bodies as well as for tax companies. your knowledge base needs to be improved on every day basis. There are no ifs and buts. You cannot, I mean, I might sound a little rude and harsh, but you cannot just have a layback attitude. You have to be more forward looking, and you have to basically incorporate changes in your self to be in line and in par with the rest of the audience that you're dealing with. So again, as I said, I totally and I fully endorse the viewpoint that my colleague has highlighted. And I would just say that you have to be open, you have to learn, and it's a continuous learning process. And keep moving forward with that. Just last night when I was, making and preparing my notes, I took the opportunity and the leverage to look at some of the industries or companies that have embedded digital tax accounting in Indonesia, and I was pretty amazed, and on the other hand, it was pretty exciting to see that in Indonesia there are several industries and companies that have embraced digital tax accounting in order to streamline their tax processes so that they can improve their compliance. And I don't know, but I was just reading, especially in the e-commerce industry, your Tokopedia, am I pronouncing it right? Tokopedia, right? That's the name of the company, right? Is it?
Yeah, it's Tokopedia.
Yes. So Tokopedia, I mean, is one of the Indonesia's largest e-commerce platforms. And you'll be surprised to know, I mean, it was very, it was very exciting for me to see that they're the largest e-commerce platform and they have implemented digital tax accounting practices to ensure compliance with tax regulations. So what does that reflect? It reflects that people or organizations are moving in the right direction where they're incorporating the changes so that they can become more efficient. They can be more streamlined. And the company, again, I mean, this is something that I'm reading from their website and from the notes that I made, that the company utilizes online tax reporting systems and digital payment integrations to streamline its tax process and facilitate accurate tax calculations. Amazing. I mean, these are trendsetters. This is basically what we need to consider, especially seeing as where the future is heading. Then you have financial service industry, which is bank mandiri. Is it the right term? Is it the right way I'm pronouncing, or am I wrong? I mean, it's bank mandiri or mandiri? How do you pronounce it?
It's Mandiri actually.
So, I mean, I was looking on their details. It is one of the largest banks in Indonesia. Super. And it has embraced digital tax accounting in order to improve tax compliance and reporting. So the exciting part over here is that bank utilizes automated tax management systems and digital platforms to streamline tax processes, enhance data accuracy, and ensure timely tax returns. This is the way forward. This is how I see as a ray of hope that there's a lot of potential in your own market. These are just two. I mean, there was a list, but since I knew that we don't have that much of time to discuss, but there are a number of companies. Of course, these are some of the best ones that you have, so I just put them on the record here. This shows that the future is such, I'll again repeat, that you have to be forward looking, you have to aggressively pursue in terms of incorporating these technologies to ensure that you improve efficiency, you become more effective, and you are more sustainable in long term. That your survival is more sustainable. Otherwise, if you're not adopting, you're not open to change, we always see this, that then your existence becomes questionable. And after a certain time frame, maybe you're not even there. Just look at so many companies that were there which were unable to keep up with the digital updates or with the market updates. Take the example of Nokia. I mean, I still remember my first phone back in 2002. After completing my bachelor's was a Nokia. Where is Nokia today? We don't know. They're struggling. I mean, they're there, but they're struggling. Are they the market leaders? They're not. Where's BlackBerry? What happened to BlackBerry? I mean, there are a number of cases that can give you an insight as what happens if you're not keeping up with the market trends or with the advancements in the technology. So again, as I said, I took the liberty of adding some more details, but it was very clearly and very beautifully highlighted by my colleague as what needs to be a way forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Omar. You both of you have provided us with such a beautiful answer, with a very strong, simple answer, just with the words learning, continuously learning to be progressively adapting to things that is happening right now. Because we as the young generation today really have to be grateful for the advancement of technology that is now happening. Because as we can see with the examples that Mr. Omar has provided, that businesses that does not apply or imply digital elements, or just this kind of digital era of where it basically give us streamlines of accurate data presentations as just suffering or doesn't exist anymore. And yeah, it's a really good answer. So going into the next, so let's go into the next questions. I think this is going to be our last questions today before we go into our Q&A session with the participants. It's that just before a while ago, when Mr. Omar has given us a bit about cross-border transactions, I actually wanted to ask something about that. So digital era has brought a rise in cross-border transactions, right? And digital business models, like Mr. Omar has mentioned. How does this impact the tax accounting practices between all the tax accountants, especially in the international tax compliance and transfer pricing? Mr. Omar or Ms. Isha, who would like to take? Okay, Mr. Omar, would you like to answer first?
Sorry, I'm also trying to admit people because I'm the host. My apologies for slight delay because sometimes people come late. See, cross-border transactions. Let's talk about the various tax compliance issues that are arising at the moment, and I'll try to make it as simple as possible, so at least all of you can be with me on the same page. That when we are conducting businesses across borders, individuals and companies, both parties, they need to be aware and comply with the tax regulation of both countries where the transaction originates. That is the source country and the country where it is received. That's the destination. I'll not get into much detail, but there are certain key tax compliance issues that we are discussing. We have seen them in writing with regards to cross-border transactions. And one of them is double taxation. It is one of the primary concerns in cross-border transactions, especially when we see that there's a potential of double taxation. What happens is that here the same income or transaction is subject to tax in both source and destination countries. So double taxation, again, it can occur due to variations in tax laws, or if you have certain tax treaties, or lack of coordination between the countries. And what we are seeing right now is that countries are trying to address these issues, all right, and they're trying to enter into double tax avoidance agreement or tax treaties to allocate taxing rights and provide, very simple mechanisms for relief, such as tax credits or exemptions. So that's one of the challenges or issues. Then is the transfer pricing. Uh, Transfer pricing is pricing of goods, services, or intangible transfers, or intangibles that are transferred between related entities in different tax jurisdictions. So what we see is that tax authorities, they are concerned about the potential parties to manipulate prices to shift profits and reduce tax liabilities. So in order to ensure appropriate pricing, countries, we have seen, even in Europe and other places, that they have established transfer pricing regulations, which are based on an arm's length principle. What it means is that it requires transactions between related parties to be priced as if they were conducted between unrelated parties. So compliance with transfer pricing again involves, maintaining proper documentation and justifying, the prices used in cross-border transactions. In Pakistan, for instance, we have one of the major issues because China, of course, is our major. We import majorly from China, so underpricing. Underpricing is one of our major issues on which the government is trying to basically, come up with systems and modules, modules which are online in having access from the using blockchain technology and having vendors from China to basically provide all of this, one minute please, to reconfirm and recheck so that underpricing issue can be dealt with. So I'm just giving an example that this is one way how governments they deal with it. Then we have withholding taxes. There are many countries that impose withholding tax on certain types of cross-border payments such as dividends, interests, royalties and service fees. So these taxes again, they are withheld by the source country on behalf of the non-resident receipt, and compliance requires understanding the withholding tax rates and obligations of each country that are involved in the transaction. So again, relief from withholding taxes may be available under tax treaties or domestic laws. And depending on the nature of the payment and the receipts, the residency status that is. Then we have the permanent establishment, which is called PE. So in that case, in PE, it's a permanent establishment. It's a fixed place of businesses or business that gives rise to tax obligations in a country. So it can be created through various activities such as having an office, branch, or dependent agent in a foreign country. So if a cross-border transaction involves the establishment of a PE, the business may become subject to tax filing, reporting, and payment obligations in that country. And I think the same applies in Indonesia for a lot of companies that are operating here. So again, that's there. Then anti-avoidance measures. Let me try to make it a little bit more easier. See, tax authorities, they are very vigilant about detecting and preventing tax, avoidance or evasion through cross-border transactions. And they may have anti-avoidance measures in place, such as general anti-avoidance rules, which are called, in international terminology, we call it GAAR, or specific anti-avoidance provisions to, to counteract aggressive tax planning schemes. So these compliance, they require a very careful consideration of the substance and economic purpose of transactions rather than just, solely focusing on achieving tax advantages. So to ensure tax compliance in cross-border transactions, please remember that individuals and businesses, they should seek professional advice from tax experts. I'm not a tax expert, all right? So, and why? Because they have the expertise in international tax matters, and it is very crucial to understand the tax laws. It is very important because, see, at the moment I am working as an advisor for the government of Pakistan. And in that particular project, I really have to look into custom duties, custom acts, treaties, and so forth. So that's why I'm saying that it is very crucial for all of us to really understand the tax laws, treaties, and compliance requirements of our respective countries or the countries that are involved in transactions to, minimize the risk of non-compliance and potential penalties. Now, I'm no expert, but what I've read last night, Indonesia, like many other countries, has its own tax regulation and compliance requirements regarding cross-border transactions. They do have double taxation treaties. Indonesia, they have entered into double taxation treaties with various countries in order to avoid or minimize the impact of double taxation. And these treaties typically, they allocate taxing rights and provide mechanisms, for relief, such as tax credit or exemptions to prevent the same income from being taxed in multiple jurisdictions. So it is really important for all of you, please, to go and look into this, because, as I said, I have very basic and very, very surface level knowledge with regards to this. Then withholding taxes in Indonesia, yes, Indonesia, you are imposing withholding taxes on certain types or of cross-border payments such as dividends, interests, royalties, and services. I'm not sure. Maybe my colleague would be in a position to tell us, but the rates of withholding taxes, they vary depending upon the nature of the payment and the receipt's residency status. I'm not sure about them. Then you also have transfer pricing, because in Indonesia, it has a transfer pricing regulations in place that require related parties engaging in cross-border transactions to use arm's length price, that is transfer pricing documentation, including transfer pricing studies and related party transaction information. They may need to be maintained and uh, provided to tax authorities. 1 minute, please. To tax, authorities and things like that upon request to showcase compliance with the regulations. So you also have permanent establishment, PE, and anti-avoidance measures. Also, Indonesia has tax. The Indonesian Tax Authority, they have implemented anti-avoidance measures to prevent tax avoidance and evasions. Again, if I sum up all of this discussion, because it's just getting a little too long, and I don't want to comment anything which is false or, on the other hand, not accurate. So I would just say that, again, it is essential for all of us, including individuals and businesses who are involved in cross-border transactions, especially with your country, Indonesia, to have proper understanding of your specific tax laws, your regulations, and compliance requirements, and how are you dealing with your trading countries. And again, this is where your tax professionals, they come into picture, because they are the ones with the expertise, with the knowledge base of the Indonesian tax matters, because they're the ones who can help ensure proper compliance and minimize the risk of non-compliance penalties, not only for foreigners who are coming in and investing in your country, but also for the locals who are doing business. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Omar, for the answer of the questions on what are the impacts and especially in the tax compliance and transfer pricing and some things we can do. So let's go into Miss Isha's answers. What are your opinions on the questions?
Okay. I have generally the same opinion as Mr. Omar, but specifically in Indonesia, cross-border transaction has been done as a form of tax avoidance, like have been stated by Mr. Omar before. And the steps appears because the double taxation that appears in the cross-border transaction. So when a company did a cross-border transaction, it's totally possible can be they can get a double taxation by both countries. So of course, it will interminate the taxpayers, so they will find a way to manipulate it. So it will not be as hard as it for them to pay, because they will not have to pay to regulation, to tax at the same time. So this manipulation not only done by domestic companies at least, but also done by a multinational company. And this scheme of the transfer pricing that used to manipulate the tax avoidance is done by some multinational companies in many forms, including intangible properties and also contractual agreements, also under state of selling, and then the offer state of cost. And also they can use like tax consultant in Indonesia, and like using the loopholes that appears in a transaction to avoid the tax. So there are many ways that they can found to avoid the tax that appears in the transaction between the cross-border transactions. They will seek for any other ways to avoid getting double taxation. And also, to face this problem, our government have made a regulation to prevent the transfer pricing manipulation to always happen by day. And they made a regulations about advanced transfer pricing agreements, if I'm not mistaken, that have been stated in the Peraturan Kementerian Keuangan Republik Indonesia nomor 23 tahun 2020, or we also known as the regulations of Kementerian Keuangan. You can find it on Google maybe, that these regulations state about the risk that the company can get by doing the tax avoidance. Is it only like the, I'm not sure how to say it, but in the regulations, it says that the company that do tax avoidance will get like maybe the risk of doing that things, if I can say it simply. So our governments do a lot of things to keep our taxpayer do their obligation like that. Maybe that what I can say about the tax avoidance in Indonesia. Like Mr. Omar have said it in globally, but in Indonesia especially, that's what I know about the regulation that have been made by the government, and also the scheme of transfer pricing that have been done before in Indonesia. I think that's what I can say. Thanks.
Right. Okay. Mr. Omar, do you have anything to add?
No. Thank you. I
No,
think
okay.
it's very well and beautifully put by my colleague here.
Right. Yeah. It was a really amazing answer which she has provided. the impact of that, of which if businesses were to avoid tax or do tax avoidance, governments will uh, penal- penalize them based on the regulations that has been made. And yeah, I think that will should stop businesses to avoid tax and do the ethical thing to help the businesses themselves or the society. All right. Other than that, that's all from me. The questions. And now I think we should go into the questions and answers session. So let's just go into it right away. For all the participants, do you guys have any questions, especially the one that's attending this discussion through virtual meeting? If you guys have any questions, just type it in the chat box. And for the ones who are attending this discussions in the room, could ask. Okay, there's one person. Could you raise your hands up one more time so we know who's asking? Okay. Right. So before you ask your questions, could you introduce yourself so Mr. Omar can address you? Yes, you should stand up. Thank you.
Okay, thanks for the opportunity, Ray. So my name is Intan. Mrs. Isha, good morning. Maybe my question is for Miss Isha and Mr. Omar. So my question, we have sorry, why is a global solution to the tax challenges raised by digitalization necessary? And we all know that there is now widespread agreement that the current rules must be adapted to the 21st century economy. And for Mr. Omar, I heard before you talk about BEPS. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, what are the tax challenges that inclusive on BEPS is working on addressing? So here's my question. Thank you.
Sorry, could you repeat one more time? Sorry.
Okay.
So
Just a
Miss Isha,
point, yeah.
yeah.
Just
So
a
Miss Isha could understand what
Okay.
you're trying to ask.
Yeah. My first question is, why is a global solution to the tax challenges raised by digitalization necessary? And for Mr. Omar, I heard before you talk about BEPS. What are the tax challenges that inclusive on BEPS is working on addressing? Is that clear, Ray?
Yeah, sure. It's
Yeah.
clear enough now.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. So, Mr. Omar, do you want to answer the questions first before Miss Isha? Mr. Omar?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you
Am
now.
I
Thank you.
visible?
Yes, you're
Okay,
audible
perfect.
now.
All right. Well, see, correct me if I'm wrong. Are you referring EPS as the electronic payment system? That's what I wanted to clarify first. Because EPS or electronic payment system or FACE, these are, if you look at EPS, there are quite a list of issues, and rather not issues, I would say, number of challenges that are evolving because of the digital transactions and the global, nature of the systems that are there in place. One of the issue is the location of taxable transactions. And you have, as I was discussing in the very in our discussion, we were focusing on cross-border taxation, and you have VAT, right, which is value-added tax, and you have data privacy and cross-border data transfer. See, I'll just make it very simple that maybe any government, even I have read last night and day before that Indonesian government, they are very clearly focusing on and working very closely with international organizations and tax authorities all over the world, working to address the tax challenges that are associated to EPS. And again, this is because of the international tax reforms, digital tax initiatives, and the development. Again, we are seeing debates which are happening at very senior forums, including, when you have discussion forums like World Banks and so forth, where we are trying to develop common standards and guidelines for taxing the digital economy. We are at a very, as I said, we are living. Hopefully, I think down the line in the next few years, we will see a very fair and effective tax system which will be there, implemented. And it is, again, I say, it is basically rapidly developing, but it is also evolving because the digital landscape is also evolving on everyday basis. I mean, as I said, I was very surprised and I was very happy to see as how your, what do you call your, this e-commerce industry, Tokopedia, is working. So coming back to my point that we need cooperation among countries and stakeholders. It is very crucial. Why? Because we would like to ensure fair and effective tax systems in this evolving digital.
Hello, Mr. Omar, are you there? It seems.
Landscape to you. I hope. Am I still audible? I mean, can you guys hear me?
Oh, okay. Now you are. Yes, we can hear you now. But it seems like you're breaking up. I think the connection is a little unstable. Okay, right.
My apologies.
Yeah, you can. We can hear you now. Sorry.
So, if you want me to repeat the answer, I can do that. It's not a problem.
Yes, please. I think our audience would appreciate you.
Okay.
Thank you.
See, I was asked about the EPS, and what I understand by EPS is the electronic payment system. And when we look at electronic payment system, again, it faces biggest tax challenges due to the evolving nature of the digital, transactions that we are seeing happening globally. Some of the very commonly discussed challenges are, of course, determining the location of taxable transactions. We have cross-border transaction challenge. We have VAT challenge. We have challenge of data privacy and cross-border data. We also have a challenge of tax reporting and transparency. I think over the course of last one and a half hour, we have discussed more or less all these challenges in our discussion. So I'll just sum it up by saying that the Indonesian government, as well as the governments all over, so governments, international organizations, and tax authorities, they are actively participating in terms of finding common grounds to address the tax challenges that are affiliated with the, electronic payment systems. Now, please remember that this is a issue which is in hand. It is a work in progress. It is an ongoing discussion on international tax reforms, digital tax initiatives, and the development of common standards and guidelines for taxing the digital economy. We have not reached to a consensus, yes, yet, but I must also admit that countries are sitting together with all, including all the stakeholders, and they are trying to devise an ecosystem which could be fair, effective tax system, and that would incorporate the evolving digital landscape that is. So this is basically what I can answer for your question. I hope it is clear now.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Omar, for your answer. Ms. Intan, does that answer your questions? Okay, what about Ms. Isha? So your questions towards Ms. Isha, I think Ms. Isha is now able to answer it.
Okay, so the question for me is the global challenges in tax violation, if I'm not mistaken in getting it. So, in my opinion, the biggest challenge globally in tax violation is base erosion and profit shifting, or we can call by BEPS. So BEPS basically is a corporate tax planning shifting strategies that used by multinational company to shift profits for a higher from a higher tax jurisdiction to the lower one, so they can decrease the amount they have to pay. And this activity or this BEPS have been a big concern for the global government around the world. So in the latest G20 events that had been held in Bali last earlier, the finance ministers around the world and also the central bank governors agreed an important regulation that have been agreed in the latest G20, which we can call it by two pillar solutions to address the tax challenges arising from the digitalizations and globalization of the economy. So they agreed this regulation to prevent or minimizing or even stopping the BEPS that uh, have been done by a lot of multinational company and the tax avoidance that have been done, so it will not happen again if it's possible, or just minimizing them by making these rules, because the BEPS have made some like for the country they manipulate the GDP, if I'm not mistaken, because I only read it a little of the information, but you can find it on the release of the G20 regulations that have been agreed by the ministry. Like in this practice, they will design a tax payment to the country, and they will make the country loss around 100 until $200 million, or this same amount as 4 until 10% of the global PDB. So it affects the countries a lot. And by the regulation that have been agreed in the G20, we hope that it will prevent the global challenges in tax valuation as have been questioned by the attendees. I hope it answers your question.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Isha, for your answer. Ms. Intan, is that answer? Yeah, okay, then that's good. Now let's get on to the next questions from all the attendees. There's one more questions, so please. All right.
Thank you.
Could you
Alright.
introduce yourself?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Putu Bagus Manikiane Devadata with name number 122109191. I want to question, how does digitalization help in maintaining the finance and accounting?
Sorry, could you repeat that one more time? I think so. Mr. Omar, could you hear you say it again? Just one more time. Your questions. What was your questions?
How does digitalization help in maintaining the finance and accounting?
Okay, so Mr. Gung Bagus, was that your name?
Just Kiane.
Kiani.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So Mr. Kiani's question was that how does digitalization, wasn't it, or right? How does digitalizations help in maintaining the finance and accounting? Sorry. Yeah. So Mr. Omar, would you like to answer that questions? Mr. Omar, hello. Oh, okay then. If Mr. Omar is not going to answer the question, let's go on to Miss Isha. Right.
Okay, may I repeat the question one more time? So the question is, how can digitalization help maintaining finance and accounting, isn't it?
I mean, how does digitalization help in maintaining the finance and accounting?
Okay. So how digitalizations help maintaining finance and accounting? So like Mr. Omar have stated before, the previous way to do the to update the data or putting the data on the files by manually, it's pretty hard to be done in my mind. Like there's a lot of stuff that you have to do to keep a data updated, especially in real time. So for me, digitalizations helps the finance and accounting by making the process more effective and efficient. Like you can do cloud computing by the digitalization. Also, you can gain more information. You can prevent human errors that may appear in the manual computing. So, if your question was how the digitalizations help finance and accounting process, for me it's by the effectiveness and the efficient way that the digitalization can provide you. That's my answer. Is it helping or you need more explanation maybe?
Mm, yes.
So that answer your question, right?
Yes.
Okay then. Yeah. So basically, the questions: how does digitalizations have a role in financing and accounting of the world right now? I think Miss Isha has given you very straight answers, as well as the discussions that we have been talking about a few while ago. So saying how digitalizations has basically brought so much benefits for us in the in the financing world or even accounting, and how it brings efficiencies, where it basically projects accurate and real-time projection of tax informations with the existence like electronic spreadsheets, like Mr. Omar has mentioned. Oh, we would like to apologize that I think Mr. Omar has lost connections and has logged out of the meeting, but I think he'll be back in a bit. Yeah, and how basically the existence of cloud computing now, with the example like Google Sheets, where everything is just happening in real time, and it can happen in two or more devices, and you could oversee each other and the activity that you are doing, especially with the tax accounting. And yeah, and I think that should answer the questions very clearly. Right. So, is he still here or is he not? No? Right. Okay then. But actually, if we still have questions that you guys would like to ask, please do so. Because there's still Miss Isha and me. And for the attendees, the virtual attendees who's having a little bit of confusion or might want to ask something, you are welcome to just type in the chat box. Oh, okay. Could you help us actually click on that chat box? It's from Chris, he says. Wait a second, okay. Or maybe if we are struggling to project questions, I think if you guys are able to do it, you can read the questions and maybe whisper it to me, or even say it from here.
Can you guys just retype the question on our chat room, or you can write it down on a paper for us, please?
All right. So actually, the questions has been sent to me. So the questions is it says, "I'm Chris." His introduction. His name is Chris, and he wants to ask something, but he's sorry because he can't open his mic and camera, and not because he's not in a good situation to do it. So his question will be, he wants to ask the both of you, Mr. Omar and Miss Isha, but I think it's just from Miss Isha now because Mr. Omar is not here. What's your opinion about what is an accountant? What is your opinion? Is an accountant still needed in the digital era? Because we live in digital era. That means all we do now is about digital. So can we?
Okay, so did an accountant still needed in this digital era? I think I have stated the answer on our discussion before when we talk about the AI thing. So for me, an accountant will still be needed in every era. In every time, every era, an accountant will always be needed because, like I've stated before, AI or digitalization is only a tool to help us human to do our job. It only help us to do it easier, not to take it over from us, because we are the one who have brain here. We are the one who have a common sense, and the AI or technology cannot do the things without our command. They only do what we ask them to do. They cannot do everything by their common sense because they don't have any. So if the question is, does accountant will still be needed in the future or in this digital era? Of course, yes, because we are the one who operated the system. We are the one who operated the AI. Without human, they cannot do their jobs alone. They cannot. They don't know what to do. They don't know what they have to seek for. They don't know what information they have to provide and what kind of information that they have to analyze, kind of that. So yeah, human will still be needed forever, and also an accountant will still be needed until forever, in my opinion. I hope that will answer your question.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Isha, for the answers. So because Mr. Omar is not here, I think I can present for his answer. So the question was that do we still need accountants in the digital era? The answer is simply yes. Why is that? Because like we have discussed in this forum, we are in a digital era of where everything has been so advanced, and the existence of technology is being utilized for the efficiency and the efficiency of time and the efficiency of risk management. Less risks that exist in here now. So just like Miss Isha has mentioned, it's just simply a tool for us to use as accountants, and what we can do as people who are using this technology, I think what we need to do is definitely, like the answers that has been provided, is to learn continuously and read many articles or just like regulations, or even learn how to use this thing, because the main thing that is happening now, or the main skill that many businesses are looking for, is that your skill in being able to utilize this technology. So by learning how to use this, you will be, like Mr. Omar has mentioned, you will be more employable. Many more business will want to take you because you know how to take them. But of course, learning how to use digital for tax accounting, you also have to understand the risk that exists within it, such as security and mainly security and privacy. But you can solve that by the existence of many software like blockchain, or the existence of big data that is the buzz right now. Because they are basically a distributed system of where it is encrypted, and it's only peer to peer, like Mr. Omar has mentioned, with no third party to disrupt, or so everything will be private, because every code, every server will have different encryptions. So I think to simplify it, yes, you do need them, because we as humans should use them for our own benefits and learn how to adapt to the existence of technology now. And then it'll basically raise the skill of humans in the aspect of accounting. I hope that answers your questions, Chris. Did that answer your questions? I will assume you have got the answers. Okay. Right. So there's one more questions actually. Could you do the same thing? Send me the questions from Clarissa Cecilia.
Okay, while waiting, Ray, maybe we
Mhm.
should change the previous question to open up some discussion more.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So the previous question is about our opinion, is accountants still needed in the digital era? I think it will be more suitable if you ask how can an accountant keeping up with the digital era, isn't
Yes,
it?
I believe that.
Because the digital era is growing rapidly, and an accountant has to keeping up with the digitalization. Not only accountant, but all of us, in my
Yes, all
opinion.
of us. We should.
So to keeping up with the digitalization, I think we have to renewing our knowing about all information about the digitalization to increase our value in this world, right? Because if we left behind, we will have no value, and it will be hard to fit in this digital world. Okay, I think
Yeah.
we received the question.
Oh, yeah. So the question is from Cecile. She wants to ask the questions in how can tax accountants navigate the complexity of international tax regulations in the digital era, particularly in cross-border transactions and e-commerce? Right.
Okay, so the point is how tax accountants
Mm.
navigate of international tax regulations in digital era. If I can take the point,
Um, is that the microphone?
I'm not sure. So, how can a tax accountant navigate the complexities of international tax regulations in the digital era? Uh, in my opinion, how can we navigate with it? How we keeping up with it is by gaining as much information as we could, because information can't be. We can get any information from everywhere. We can get it from Google. For the easiest example, you can get it from a book. You can get it from article, and not only from our domestic regulation, but also like the global issue of the tax accounting. It start from yourself. It start from how you want to keeping up with the digitalization, how you want to keeping up with the newest information, how you keeping up to aware that you have to decrease your value, how you have to keep updated about any informations that or the newest issue in the world. So how to keep navigated or updated is by knowing like read a lot of information as possible for me. So information can come from anywhere, like I've said before. So you have to know what the newest issue that appear in the world first thing first, and open up your mind not only from around you but also issues that happen globally. Like it's like getting away from our comfort zone. Like
Yes, definitely.
uh mostly we only hear about the issue in Indonesia, but if we wanna go from our safe zone, we wanna know more about the world, we want to open our eyes widely about what happened in this world right now. You will have the thinking of like, I want to know what happened in this world economics condition right now, so you will seek an information about it without anyone forcing you to do it, because it starts
Yes,
from yourself, right?
definitely.
Everything is started from yourself. So if you ask me how to keep updated or navigated by the international tax regulation or international issues, just I believe there's a lot of information resources from anywhere. So if you want to keep navigated or updated, you just have to look for it, because it's not that hard to seek for informations nowadays. You can get it by your phone in the easiest form, or you can get it from any article, attending any seminars, and in the class maybe, or if you have a bigger willing to learn about it, you can buy a book from this bookstore. There's a lot of books that talking about the international regulation for taxation, or even a book that's talking about the unsolved issues, maybe, if you want to know about that. So uh, for the conclusion, it started by yourself. If you want to increase your value, if you want to keep updated, you will find a way that suit you the best. I think that's what I can say for this question.
Yeah, I totally agree with Miss Isha's answers to the questions of how do we how do we navigate international the complexities of international tax regulations in digital era. It's of course by educating yourself or understanding or staying updated with the international tax laws that has been published or just newly published, because with the existence of new international tax laws, it will include monitoring changes in tax treaties between countries and the transfer pricing rules and digital taxations frameworks. Like how Mr. Omar has mentioned, we need to understand transfer pricing, and because transfer pricing basically refers to the pricing of goods, services, and intellectual property transferred between entities, of which we may know entities such as businesses or individuals themselves. So we need to understand that local regulations to determine the pricing between international tax regulations. I think that is all from the answer. That is all the answers from both Miss Ishes and I. So Cecile, does that answer your question?
Okay, just for additional,
Yeah.
Ray.
Okay. Right.
Have you ever experienced when in a learning process, when you learn something and you find an unknown terms that you haven't heard before, and you want to know more about it, like it came out of nowhere, you found an unknown terms and you have the willing to know more about it. It's like, I think that's one of the way how we can keep updated and renewing our knowledge by keep reading and keep finding something that we don't know, because the more we learn, the more we will know that we don't know a thing in the world,
Yes,
that will keep up
exactly.
learning about new things, that will help us, motivate us to learn about new things.
Yeah, I totally agree that we're still in the gray area of where we don't actually know anything, and there's still so much to explore. And I think everyone must have this feeling once in their life of not knowing anything, and I think that should be a motivation for us to push ourselves to learn today, or to learn about the advancement of the world right now. And yeah, I really agree with that. So do we have any? I actually wanted to ask Mr. Omar for some more
Yeah, me too.
discussions.
I
Yeah,
actually have question for Mr. Omar, but yeah, sadly
yeah.
he
Sadly,
lost his connection.
okay, then sadly he's not here. So do we still have time? Or is it right? I think. Yeah, I think. That's it. That is the end of our session today. The ends of our forum. Yeah, okay, so basically I will provide conclusions of our discussions today. Let me just find my mm. Right, so okay then, do we just like go straight into the next agenda? No conclusion? Oh, okay then. So yeah, let's just conclude this forum discussion today. So in conclusions, the digital era, we need to understand that it has brought a significant transformations in tax accounting practices and how it made everything so efficient now. And it basically made the lives of manual tax accounting so much easier. But in order to achieve that, we still have to learn as tax accountants to learn and to adapt to the changes. So throughout our seminar, we have explored the role of tax accounting in the digital era and engaged in an insightful discussion with our distinguished panel of experts. So we have learned that tax accountants must adapt to new technologies and digital platforms, ensuring they stay updated and scaled in leveraging these tools effectively. The digital transformation has brought about efficiency gains, improved accuracy, and facilitated compliance through automation and real-time reporting. And it also has elevated the role of tax accountants, shifting their focus towards strategic tax planning, risk management, and embracing technological expertise. So we also discussed about the data security and privacy that has emerged as critical concerns. demanding robust measures such as encryptions, access control, and employee training to protect sensitive financial informations. Furthermore, the rise of cross-border transactions and digital business models has presented challenges in international tax compliance and transfer pricing. And it requires tax professionals to navigate complex regulations and ensure proper documentations. And we also discussed about the existence of blockchain technology, where the technology offers opportunities for enhanced transparency, traceability, and auditability in tax accounting. And it has the potential to revolutionize the transaction tracking and facilitate smart contracts for new compliance. And basically, it will improve fraud detections. So basically, with that being said, sorry. So messy. Let me just. Okay. So with that, I concludes our discussion today. I would like to give my appreciations towards our speakers today. We thank you very much for the very insightful material presentation.
Thank you, Ray, for
give a
being
quick round of applause,
such
everyone.
great moderator for today's event.
Thank you very much. And we also want to thank you for all the committees who have been managing and basically making this event possible and making sure it went as smoothly as possible, even though the internet is having disturbance, but that is outside of our control. But anyway, thank you very much for all the committees, and thank you for all the participants who have been here to be present to our discussion today. So thank you very much, everyone. Let's give ourselves a big round of applause again. Right, okay then. So I think we should get on to our last agenda, which is the giving certificates to our speakers today, because Mr. Omar is not here. I think we'll go into Miss Isha's certificate appreciation. I think. Okay. Check. All right. Yeah. Okay. I think we should go into our last agenda. So, Miss Isha, if you may, please stand up. Thank you very much. Okay, all right then. To basically close this event, for all the participants, virtual participants, you are welcome to do your final attendees and the link that has been provided in the chat box. So for all the virtual participants, you are welcome to leave the meeting and list your last attendees. And for all the participants, thank you very much for your attendees today. And you are welcome to your last attendees, final attendees outside of this room. You are welcome to leave the room now. Thank you very much.
So won't you tell me, babe, are you happy now? You're the only